All right, let's jump right in. There's this huge, quiet revolution happening all around us, and it's literally reshaping our society. It's not about tech, it's not about politics, it's about care. So the big question we're tackling today is this: who's actually looking out for our caregivers? Check out this quote. It really puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? It tells us that caregiving isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. This experience is going to touch every single one of us. No exceptions. So, which one are you? No, really, take a second. Where do you fit in this picture right now? Because once you figure that out, you start to see just how massive this whole situation really is. And when I say massive, I mean massive. We're not just talking about a trend. It's more like a demographic tidal wave that's already crashing down. But the crazy thing is, it's an emergency that's happening almost completely in the shadows. Just think about it for a second. Your friends, your family, the people you work with. Get this. Right now in Canada, 1 out of every 4 people is a caregiver. 1 in 4. That's just a huge number. It means this isn't some abstract problem, it's right here all around us. And if you want the raw number, we're talking about 13.4 million Canadians providing care for free. Let that sink in. This isn't some niche group. We're talking about a massive, absolutely essential army of people basically holding up our entire society. Just how essential are they? Well, look at this stat. Over 95% of people getting long-term care at home depend on an unpaid caregiver. The takeaway here is pretty stark. Without them, our healthcare system just breaks. It collapses. Okay, so this is where the crisis really hits home. Experts are calling it a perfect storm, and for good reason. On one hand, you've got the demand for care just exploding as our population gets older. But on the other hand, the number of people actually available to give that care is shrinking. See the problem? It's a collision course. And these numbers, wow, they really paint the picture of that storm. We could be looking at nearly 30% of the population being seniors. And get this, almost 1 in 5 caregivers is already over 65 themselves. And the money side of it? We're talking a projected value of $128 billion a year for this unpaid work. This isn't just a nice-to-solve social issue, folks. This is a monster economic reality. But let's pause on the big numbers for a second, because behind every single one of those stats, there's a person. A real human being carrying this incredible, often totally invisible weight on their shoulders. And that hidden cost? It's just profound. I mean, look at this. This isn't just data, it's a window into this quiet devastation. 87% feel lonely. 73% are dealing with anxiety. Nearly 70% say their own mental health is suffering. This is what's happening behind closed doors. You know, there's even a name for this really deep struggle they go through. It's called spiritual dislocation. It's that awful feeling of being completely abandoned, of losing your own identity while you're taking care of someone else. And it's also this unexpressed grief for a relationship that's just not the same anymore, even though the person is still right there. And this is what leads to such a painful paradox, you know? We all rush to support the person who's sick, and we absolutely should. That's a good thing. But what about the caregiver? The one who's losing sleep, sacrificing their job, their mental health? They often just fade into the background. They become invisible. So, okay, what do we do about all this? This is where things take a turn, because we can actually reframe this whole crisis. Instead of seeing it as this impossible burden, we can see it as a huge opportunity, an opportunity for community. And this right here, this is the core of that mindset shift. The old way of thinking is seniors need care and it's up to their family to handle it. End of story. But the new mission, it's totally different. It sees seniors as a powerful resource, and it sees caregiving not as a private problem, but as a community calling. And you know what? This advocate nails it. There's just something about a real, genuine community that gives a kind of support that, well, a government program just can't. It's built on real relationships. It's natural. And here's the thing. Here's why they have this unique advantage. Think about it. These groups, like churches or local clubs, they already have trust baked right in. They have existing friendships, a shared way of talking. It's like a caregiver might never pick up the phone to call a government helpline, but you can bet they'll open the door for a friend. All right, so let's get down to brass tacks. It's great to talk about community, but how do we make it real? What does this actually look like on the ground? Well, here are 6 really concrete ways to start. We're talking about things like caregiver support circles. Or how about this? Visitor programs where seniors are actually helping other seniors. And then there are the practical teams, the folks who bring a meal or offer a ride. But it's also about shifting the whole culture, right? Talking about this stuff out in the open and getting people ready before a crisis hits.
But out of all of this, the first step is honestly the simplest one of all. You just ask. Seriously. Most caregivers don't even call themselves that. So by just asking the question, hey, who here is caring for someone? You're suddenly making the invisible visible.
And that brings me to a final thought here, a really powerful way to frame this entire challenge. It connects this modern crisis to a timeless story that I think a lot of you will know. You know the parable of the Good Samaritan, right? At its heart, it's a simple story. It's about someone who saw a person broken and wounded on the side of the road and just refused to look away. They didn't make excuses. They crossed the road and they did something. Well, here's the parallel for us today. The person on the side of our road, it's the caregiver. They're the one who is exhausted, who feels totally unseen, and who is carrying a weight that was never ever meant to be carried all by themselves. And this quote, I think it just sums it all up perfectly. Caring for the caregiver isn't some little side project for a handful of nice people. No, this is the main event. It's a core mission for anyone and everyone who believes in community. So, we're ending right back where we started, with a question for you. This wave we've been talking about, it's not on the horizon. It's here, right now. The people in need are already there. So the only real question left is, who's going to show up?